Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your AEW Revolution preview and predictions. We have got a grand total of 8 matches on this card. One is a pre-show match. The other 7 will be happening on the main show. And, some of these matches I am very interested in. Some of them are the reason why we don't watch AEW regularly anymore, but we'll get around to that eventually. Let's start things out positively, though. John, what on this card, and I'm assuming you have this video pulled up or at least the card somewhere so that you can see the matches that are on here. What on this card are you looking forward to?
God.
Do you have it pulled up?
Yeah, I do. I guess Jericho versus Moxley, because Moxley's been great since getting away from WWE. Omega and Page versus the Bucks, I get. It's honestly, dude, just to be honest, I guess from an in-ring standpoint, I'm looking forward to that stuff. But it's just hard for me to get invested in anything in AEW because I just don't care about the company. I really, and I was even thinking about this, it's do you and I and do a lot of other people enjoy great in-ring stuff? Sure. I was, what I was thinking a lot about today, because I knew we were going to do this, and I know how I feel about AEW, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to, front otherwise, and I know nobody would want me to front otherwise. I was thinking about PWG, and we haven't watched the PWG show in a minute. Can't wait to get back on that. But, their whole aesthetic, their whole brand are these really, every match is like a pay-per-view main event style match.
Yeah.
Crazy spots, all this stuff. But here's the thing about that. I think for somebody to care about a company and care about the performers in a company, because we've seen, like Ricochet, we're fans of Ricochet, but Ricochet was markedly different from in Lucha Underground because he wasn't even Ricochet, he was Prince Puma, than he is in WWE. So I feel like when you're into a company and you're into a performer, which could be a case-by-case thing, I like him here but not here, I feel like you really have to buy into everything. I think about WWE with all the hang-ups I have in it, and especially now that Morrison's back, that's the perfect example. Not only do I buy into Morrison as a performer, but I buy into WWE conceptually, the championships, which serve as props, this, that, and the other. I just don't have that degree of investment with AEW beyond the in-ring stuff, but even then, that's diminished because can I trust that these acts are going to advance? Do I care about them advancing? What kind of growth can they have in this company? And is it growth that I would even deem to be worthwhile? So from just a purely superficial standpoint, to answer your question, to bring it full circle, Jericho Moxley, I'm sure can put on a solid match. Page and Omega against the Bucks, sure to be a banger, no doubt. I love Darby Allin. I think he's one of the brightest prospects in wrestling. I think he's a super talented dude. MJF versus Cody because of MJF, and it seems like more people are turning on him, which maybe is good because he's getting that heat. I still love him as a heel. I think he's still one of my favorite acts in the business when I see him and when I engage his content. Other than that, though, Pac versus Orange Cassidy, I like both guys. I don't really know if I'm interested in a match between them, with each other. Hager versus Dustin, not really. Kazarian and Sky versus Dark Order, pass.
Oh, yeah, so, we're literally passing on that. We're not going to live react to the pre-show.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of ambivalent about, a lot of it. And even the stuff I'm into, it's only into in the fact that, I know these people and I know they can put on a good match. And I guess I'm somewhat curious about Nyla Rhodes versus Kris Statlander. But, yeah, man, I am just severely underwhelmed and really disinterested, in what AEW is doing, including this card. And I, honestly, and you and I were talking about this, I'm not even convinced the world title is going to main event. Because...
yeah, Cody MJF might.
Exactly.
And we also have agreed, we just want to let everyone know right now, we have already agreed, if Cody versus MJF main events this show, we are dipping out early. We're not going to live react to that match. The only way we'll live react to that match is if it's not the main event of this show, and Jericho Moxley is, because we do want to watch Jericho Moxley.
Yeah, so to put a number to it, because we do this for every preview and predictions, to be generous, just looking at the in-ring quality, I'm at a 3 out of 10, because I did say I'm interested in Jericho Moxley tag match, and then Darby Allin and stuff. So I'll even give it 3.5 because I said I was kind of interested in Rose Statlander. So I'll say 3.5 out of 10. I do not care.
Dude,
yeah.
I think I might just be feeling a little bit more optimistic because of the stuff that I am looking forward to. But even I can't bring myself to give this a 5. I'm going to go with a 4.5.
Damn, that's honestly, I think that it's a greater indictment coming from you than from me, because I do feel like you are more charitable in certain circumstances, and that might be the lowest score. Is that the lowest score you've ever given a show?
No. Lots of WWE shows have scored lower, trust me.
Are we sure?
Not in recent months, like not over the last year or so, but previously, absolutely yes.
I'll take your word for it. But definitely recently, I'm glad because I can't remember the last time I've heard you give a score that low. Recently, we'll say.
No, yeah, recent. Like if we're looking at recent history, like the last year and a half, maybe. No, it's the lowest. Yeah, but
yeah,
if we're looking at like grand scheme of things, Twitwell history, then it's probably not even bottom 10.
Well, yeah, all right, that's fair enough. I mean, still, though, I think that does say a lot, regardless of how it stacks up relative to other rankings, just as a standalone thing.
Yeah.
Revolution, you better bring it on Saturday.
And, dude, I think a big reason why I'm not excited about it, too, is because I was excited for Full Gear, and they disappointed me so badly with that.
Oh, God, dude.
Expectations up for this because of how disappointed I was by Full Gear. Like, I think Full Gear is really the show that ruined AEW for us. Like that was the straw that broke the camel's back for us.
Because I mean, yeah, because even before that, like I was getting bored, with the TV product, especially knowing it was competing with NXT, which I have so much more history with. And like that's the thing. Like every company you invest in, every star you invest in, and we talk about this all the time in other contexts, Ashton, it's an opportunity cost. The more I'm watching AEW, the more time I'm not giving to other, whether within wrestling or beyond wrestling, to other things. And it really hasn't pulled me to be like, yeah, my time's worth this.
Yeah.
So I'll see how I feel about Revolution. I'll try and go with it in an open mind because I have some very dear friends of mine that love AEW and they'll probably attend the stream. And I'd like to not be a fucking asshole, when they're there. I just can't lie about how I feel. I just not.
Yeah, to me, honestly, it's weird. I feel like one of the biggest problems about this show is who it's missing. It's not necessarily who's on it, it's who's not on it. Why are the Lucha Bros not on this show? Speaking of Lucha, why is Luchasaurus not on this show? Like, and by the way, for those of you that are trying to talk about, Luchasaurus isn't doing anything right now, my problem isn't that they didn't just ham-fist Luchasaurus onto the show despite him having not done anything for the last few months. My problem is that he hasn't done anything for the last few months. My problem is that you take a guy who got over instantly, night one, as soon as he got in the ring. He was over within seconds, and they've done nothing with him. The Lucha Bros are, to me, Phoenix is the most exciting in-ring performer in the world right now. And they've got him under contract, and they're doing nothing with him. Pentagon is one of the most over acts in the world right now among hardcore wrestling fans, and they're doing nothing with him. I personally prefer them better as singles competitors, but even as a tag team, they ain't doing shit right now. So I just feel like, and I could go into talking about all the amazing Joshi women that they have that aren't on this show. I've heard rumors that maybe Yuka Sakazaki is going to be on the pre-show or might show up at some point during the show. But like, I just feel like this show, it feels almost like they're handicapping themselves. It feels almost like they're restricting themselves by using a much more kind of limited version of their roster. And I feel like they kind of chose a lot of the wrong ones. Like, do we really need to see Dustin Rhodes on another pay-per-view? Come on now. You couldn't have done Hager versus Rhodes on TV leading up to a match between Hager and Luchasaurus?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, just seeing Dustin on the card.
Guevara makes a great point, too. Where's Private Party? Why is Private Party not on this?
I have no idea, because they're probably still doing, like, AEW Dark or whatever the fuck that other show's called.
Yeah, man. It really feels like they just kind of picked wrong here. Like, I like Kris Statlander. I'm not a big fan of Nyla Rose, but if they want to go with Rose as their champion and have Statlander challenge, at least give us like a Joshi match for number one contendership. Riho versus Yuka. There's history there. Give us something. But no, they're just like, no, you're going to get an old school American style match, maybe some flippy shit from these bigger women. And I don't know. I feel like and the thing is, I've been feeling like they've been having questionable decision making since almost day one. Like, since Britt Baker was the first, like, the marquee signing, to the women's division. It's like, okay, that's immediately questionable. It feels like they're really going more for clout than talent because, again, like, Adam Cole's girlfriend thing. But we can't stay negative this long. We got to move on. We got to actually talk about the show. We got to talk about the matches. We got to preview. We got to predict. So let's get into it. First match, Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky representing SCU versus the Dark Order. And it's not Alex Reynolds and John Silva. It's not the henchmen. It is the leaders of the Dark Order. It is Stu Grayson and Evil Uno. So who you got here?
Yeah, it's always fun to predict on shows like this too, just for the fact that, like, you don't keep up with the narrative regularly like you do with an NXT or Raw or SmackDown, so it's almost like pick them out of a hat. But I'm just going to go with Dark Order because it does seem like they're on the rise with whatever they're doing. So I'm going to give them the win here.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I'm going to predict SCU to win this because I think that they're almost trying to tell the story of, like, the Dark Order needs their leader, and this whole, like, storyline of potentially Matt Hardy being the Dark Order's secret leader. I think that they're going to try and build up to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Cause,
yeah,
I'm just going to guess that. I'll probably be wrong, but it is the pre-show, so it doesn't matter as much. I'm sure it'll count towards the rankings, so there you go. All right, let's get to the main show, though. I really want to just kind of breeze over the pre-show match because the main show is what really matters. We have 4 non-title matches, and I tried to rank them in order of importance. So the first one we're going to talk about is Jake Hager versus Dustin Rhodes, because this feels like the worst match on this entire show. This feels like a waste of a match. This feels like a waste of Jake Hager's debut. This feels like Cody trying to throw his brother a bone by putting him on his pay-per-view, and I just don't like it at all. Hager wins, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. All right, so then our second match on the main show, Pac versus Orange Cassidy. This intrigues me. I actually really like this because Pac, to me, is kind of along the lines of the perfect opponent for Orange Cassidy, because Orange Cassidy is at his absolute best when his opponent isn't taking any of his shit and forces him to wrestle seriously. To me, this match has potential match of the night contender written all over it if they actually give it time. If they give this match time and they actually let them tell the story of Orange Cassidy trying to be Orange Cassidy, Pac not selling for him, not giving him any credit, not not letting him get away with his bullshit. Which I love Orange Cassidy's shtick, so I'm not even trying to say that I don't like it. I just, Pac doesn't. Pac is going to be like, no, fuck you, this is garbage. And you have to, like, he just fucking, and I don't mean brutalizes as in locks him in the brutalizer. I mean literally just like the traditional, definition of brutalizes Orange Cassidy, forces Orange Cassidy to basically fight for his life. And OC gets to show some of his actual in-ring ability. And I am very, very excited for this. Like, this, to me, this is like the second match, like the second most forward I'm looking to a match on this card. Maybe third, because I should probably throw Jericho Moxley in there. But yeah, probably the third, number 3 match on this card that I'm looking the most forward to.
Yeah, man, honestly, given your reasons and everything, like, I totally understand that. And I think what I'm kind of looking for in this match is just, how can I put this? Like, we do the shtick, right? With Orange Cassidy and, doing his thing. But then I want him to go into that gear that you've shown me he can go into with other matches.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Like, if you're
That's
what
I'm saying. That's pretty much what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, because, like, here's the thing. We have to think about this, too, in the context, and people have been making a big deal about this on Twitter. I feel no inclination to go back and watch it. If anybody in our chat did, you can, I guess, tell us how you felt about the match. But, Pac and Omega had an Iron Man match
yeah.
on Dynamite, which I don't know.
Was it 30 or 60 minutes?
Probably 30, I would guess.
Yeah.
But again, people can correct me if I'm wrong, because it is 2 hours the show, so maybe they
that's true. They wouldn't go for the entire first hour.
Yeah, but yeah, like, I don't understand why you don't do that on a pay-per-view, but I digress. And you have that, and you've got all this attention, all this spotlight on Pac, who I think is amazing. I honestly, in hindsight, wouldn't have minded him as, and it was 30 minutes. Okay, thank you guys. Wouldn't have minded him as, like, the inaugural world champion. Even though I still think I prefer him working as a baby. I think his heel stuff really depends on the dance part. I think he's had some really good matches, some really okay matches. But this should be about Orange Cassidy stepping up and showing that he can hang with the big key players in AEW. Do I think Pac should win? Absolutely.
Yeah, he's going to get taken to the limit, though. I think OC needs to take him to the limit and really kind of challenge him and make Pac give him that, like, what the fuck did I just face look?
Exactly. Because that's how you develop people. That's how you get your audience to look at a character in a completely different way. And that's really what I'm hoping for Orange Cassidy, because there's nothing wrong with the shtick, but you're going to exhaust it eventually. I think it's never too early to develop somebody in a certain direction. And if he's competitive with Pac, that'll do that job. So Pac for the win, but I am hoping for a really competitive matchup here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really hoping that they kind of follow the Orange Cassidy versus David Starr formula. I'm really hoping that they go there.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad that we got to actually talk about that. Let's talk about Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. Did you see the Darby Allin return on Wednesday?
No, I did not.
Okay, so he, I don't even remember who he came out to save. It might have even been Moxley that he came out to save. He came out to save Moxley. The Inner Circle were beating down Moxley. Darby's music hit. He comes down rolling out on his skateboard, beats the hell out of a bunch of people. He's getting really, really over. So I am going to pick Darby to win this match because he's being given more of a single spotlight, and Sammy G is really just, he still kind of comes off as Chris Jericho's like secondhand man almost. Yeah.
I think you give Darby the win here. He's had interactions with the Inner Circle before. I mean, he did challenge Jericho in a street fight that was a really solid matchup.
Yeah.
So, I definitely think he should.
That was the one where Darby got his hand tied behind his back and still was doing shit, right?
Exactly.
That was dope as hell. I love it.
So I think he should definitely be able to beat Sammy. Maybe this will be a way to orient Darby back into the title picture. Again, It's always interesting when you don't have your finger on the pulse, just what predictions you're going to go with. But just from what I remember and the little I do know, I just think it makes sense for Darby to win here, maybe get back in the hunt. So Darby Allin for the win.
Absolutely, yeah. This is number 1, by the way, on my list of matches I'm looking forward to. This is 1, Jericho Moxley is 2, and then Pac Cassidy is 3. So
nice.
And next up, we're going to talk about the match that could very well main event. I fully expect it to either main or semi-main on this show, but it doesn't have anything on the line technically. So we're still going to talk about it before we get to the actual stip matches, the actual matches with consequences, title matches. MJF versus Cody.
Okay. Honestly, I mean, again, I think MJF is great. Love his heel work. I still love his heel work. Again, it seems like some people are souring on him. I respectfully disagree. Cody, on the other hand, it just really seems like he's got a whole machine around him to make him seem like the biggest hero in wrestling. We've talked about this. That's nothing novel.
Yeah, honestly, the whole build to this match has been some of the absolutely most indulgent shit I've ever seen in my life.
And I'm of two minds, because I've actually paid a bit. I don't want to say that like I know everything, but I feel like I've paid a bit more attention to the build to this. So, MJF pretty much put Cody through the ringer. You want a match with me, you've got to meet all these conditions. And he did. He got publicly whipped, during Black History Month, which I know a lot of fans had a problem with, and understandably so. You got to beat Wardlow in a steel cage. Just got to do all this stuff. Cody did it, checked every box. Now you'd think with Storytelling 101, Cody would get the win here because MJF.
No, I disagree. I think Storytelling 101 says MJF pulls out the win like a sneaky bastard, and they drag the feud out a little more.
See, now I was going to say that I think it because MJF's already screwed Cody out of the world title. He's embarrassed him on national television, with the whipping and everything. He's put him through all this stuff. He can't avoid Cody anymore. This is where you get the comeuppance. However, what I was going to say was I do think MJF should win here.
Yeah.
I do think
I agree. I'm actually picking MJF. And honestly, if for no other reason, because I don't think that a wrestling match is enough for Cody to get a winning. I think that Cody, they need to drag this out to the point that they have a big stip match, like an I Quit match, or a last man standing match or something along the lines of that, where it really is like a battle of wills, and only then should Cody win. And it will be, of course, very cathartic for his character and all that stuff. And I'm sorry, I just feel like Cody Rhodes, the character, it's like those fucking movies or TV shows where someone wants to be a superhero, so they create villains for themselves. And then it turns out they were the villain all along. And it's like Cody is literally setting up his own obstacles so that when he jumps over them in front of people, they'll be like, whoa, that was so cool. You got over that obstacle. Good job, Cody. But it's like he put him there in the first place.
Yeah, really the best thing about this feud has been fucking MJF's promos on Cody, where he just tells on his ass.
Yeah, MJF's promo is basically telling everyone the truth about fucking Cody. Yeah.
That's a heel we can believe in.
I would say MJF wins here, and the feud kind of continues. Maybe even we get another match between them on AEW Dynamite. But the whole thing builds to, I would probably say, like a last man standing match between MJF and Cody.
See, you're a bit more, I don't know if optimistic's the word, but I mean, that's just the route you're going, and I understand that.
Maybe a cage match, since they already used the cage for Cody and Wardlow.
Maybe. I personally think Cody's going to win this. I think MJF should win. I'm not very confident in that, so I'm just going to go with Cody getting the win, and he just gets his comeuppance, and then he moves on to God knows what. So,
but that's the thing, though, dude. Think like Cody. If you're Cody, what do you think is going to be the way to make you the most over, to make you the most beloved?
I guess just the struggle. And the longer the struggle, the more beloved I become. And again, I understand that. But
I kind of already have my mind made up. I think that Cody loses here, gets a big cathartic win over MJF at Double or Nothing, and then beats Jericho for the title at All Out 2020.
How does he do that, though, when he's out of the title picture?
Well, I just assume him beating MJF would be like, oh, you're allowed to face, challenge for the title again.
I feel like they would have made that more explicit if that was the case.
Well, I'm saying Double or Nothing, I mean.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Cody for the win. I'm not nearly that optimistic. So we'll see what happens.
All right, let's move on then. Up next, let's talk about our first actual championship match. And normally for WWE, I like to have the women's match be the second last thing that we talk about, or at least the last thing that we talk about before world titles, since WWE has two of those. But AEW doesn't really prioritize their women's division, so it's going to be the first title match that we talk about. Nyla Rose defending against Kris Statlander. I'm going to be rooting for Statlander in this match, but it is Nyla's first defense, so I'm fully expecting her to retain.
Oh yeah, Nyla is 100% retaining. Look, regardless of how you feel about Nyla as a performer, I'm kind of ambivalent on her, if I'm honest. She's generating a lot of press right now. So, a lot of negative responses, admittedly, from a lot of transphobic people, and then just a lot of coverage about, AEW, progressive, a trans woman is the women's champion, this kind of spotlight. I think AEW is going to want to really promote that, and there's just no way they give that up, because then imagine, it's one thing for a champion to lose their title on the first defense, but then you risk, I think, kind of harming that community when it's like, oh, really? You finally get the title on a trans woman, and you finally put a trans wrestler in that kind of spotlight, and she immediately loses. I could see that drawing a lot of ire. Yeah. So I think they're going to give Nyla a healthy, respectable reign. I honestly think that we should be thinking long term. I could see her holding that belt for 6+ months. Now, I could be wrong. I could very easily be wrong, but that's just how I see it. So Nyla to easily retain here.
Yeah. Yeah, Nyla's going to retain. I do like Statlander. I actually like her a lot more than a lot of the women in AEW's women's division, and especially all of the women pretty much that aren't Joshis. But yeah, I fully expect Nyla to retain here. It's kind of interesting the way that we got here, though, because it felt like for a while there, AEW was just finding a new woman that got over, and they decided to push for a couple weeks, every couple weeks there for a while towards the end of 2019. Because, it felt like at first it was oh, Shanna is really over. Let's sign her and push her. But then Hikaru Shida came back, and it was oh, Hikaru Shida is really over, and people really like her, and we already have her signed. Let's push her and have her beat Shanna. and then it was Kris Statlander, and Statlander beat everyone. Like it was weird. It felt like a revolving door of potential challenges for Riho at the time, but now Nyla. But yeah, man, it's unfortunate how little emphasis they put on their women's division, and I feel like the emphasis that they do put on, it's almost like Stephanie McMahon in WWE because it's focused around Brandy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I guess it's a good thing what was it? The Nightmare Collective. I guess it's a good thing that's over now. But it's unfortunate that Kong isn't around anymore either, because I do enjoy her presence at least, even if she's not going to be able to go in the ring that much anymore. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, Nyla Rose to retain. Let's move on to our second to last match, our penultimate match to talk about. Tag title match. It's an all-elite match for All Elite Wrestling. Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, the champions, defending against the Young Bucks. Who's got this?
I'm of two minds about this, and it's always a struggle for me when we do these about which part of my mind is going to win out. Because on one hand, I look at Omega and Page as the top two contenders for the AEW World Title, depending on, whether Moxley comes through or not, which we'll get to that in just a few moments. So, and they are the current champions. But I never pictured them being champions for long because I just always felt like they'd be doing things higher up on the card. However, part of me thinks that they could retain here, and then one of them could pursue the world title. Maybe they even face each other, and AEW makes a big deal out of it, right? AEW tag champions facing each other to see who faces the world champion.
Yeah.
Tag partner wins. Maybe that tag partner goes on and wins the title, and that develops like internal animosity between the team as they struggle to keep the tag titles. Maybe the one partner turns on the other, costs them that world title match, and then the night after, or the Dynamite after, they'd lose the tag titles because it's like, well, screw this. But then another part of me is like, well, no, you could do a much cleaner break and not get the tag titles involved in this. You could have the Young Bucks win. They're a stable team. They have been forever. They're pretty much like the New Day of a two-man team. I just never see them breaking up. I never see one without the other, ever. And yeah, then you could just do exactly what I said with Omega and Page, but like without gold weighing them down. They could face each other. Winner faces the world champion, blah, blah, blah. And I think just for the sake of keeping it simple and Occam's razor and all that stuff, I'm going to go with interpretation B. I'm going to say Young Bucks actually win the titles here. And then Omega and Page will feud with each other. And not in like a heated way, but just like, a standard matchup or whatever to see who goes on to face the world champion. So Young Bucks for the win here.
Yeah. Man, to me, this is the hardest match to predict on the card because there's so many things they could do. And even just looking in chat, everybody involved in this match has already been predicted that they're going to turn heel in this match or after this match. Like everyone involved. Someone has predicted that Hangman Page would turn heel. Someone has predicted the Young Bucks would turn heel. And somebody has predicted that Omega would turn heel. So everyone in this match is apparently on the brink of a heel turn. I know that they've been teasing Hangman turning heel for a while, but I feel like AEW is also the type of company to kind of tease things and maybe just kind of like tease it and that's it, and just kind of let people kind of speculate and not actually go through with it and maybe even swerve and have somebody else turn or not have anything happen at all, because sometimes the best swerve is no swerve, right? So
yeah,
I feel like this is the match that has the most fuckery talked about it. Like most people expect there to be fuckery. And I also think that this is the most difficult match to predict. And I think that a lot of people are kind of torn on this. And I think it's more of a coin flip than anything. So I think I'm just going to predict the most boring, least kind of Vince Russo type thing to happen here. Omega and Page retain and they all shake hands afterwards.
Okay, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. All right, we got one match left. World title.
Jericho. Moxley. And I guess I already kind of spoiled it when I said that I thought that Cody was going to get his ability to challenge for the title back and challenge Jericho at All Out this year. I have Jericho retaining.
Yeah, I have Jericho retaining as well. Just going to keep it really simple. Yeah.
My mom is in the room. We need to censor ourselves.
No, sorry, it's not happening for him. But that's why he's in New Japan, where he can actually do great things.
Yeah, like a fucking amazing match against Suzuki. He is the U.S. champion right now. He did beat Suzuki.
Yeah, that's true. And now he's going to be. I don't know if he had that match with Zach yet. I hope not. But
No,
and I don't know when it's coming because, like, God, I can't wait for like just everything to get back on track. But regardless, it's funny because this will be a great side-by-side photo. Moxley, he got one amazing match out of an old guy. Let's see if he can get an amazing match out of this older guy. And I do think it'll be decent. I honestly don't think it'll be anything great. I think, honestly, Pat Cassidy, after really talking about it, has a chance to steal the show, either that or Darby Guevara. But, maybe it'll be a good story-driven match. I don't know. But I do see Jericho retaining here because I've just always had it in my mind very early on that either Omega in the rubber match with Jericho or Adam Page in the redemptive rematch would be the one to end Jericho's reign, especially after Jericho already got past Cody. I disagree with you about Cody getting that ability back. I do think he will eventually, but I just don't see it, I guess, the way that you conceive of it right now. I personally think that Omega is going to beat Jericho for it. They're going to hype up the big rubber match. Omega gets it. He finally becomes the man of AEW. And then we really just see the cleaner, I guess, in full force. So, yeah, Jericho to retain.
Yep, I do think Jericho's retaining here. I could see... Have we gotten Jericho Omega since the inaugural title match?
No.
Okay, so then I'm going to predict Jericho to retain versus Omega at Double or Nothing.
All right. So that's it, guys. That's preview and predictions. Thank you to everybody that joined us. We got 60 people watching, only 9 likes. Please leave a like as you file out. We will see you tomorrow. I'm guessing it's 7, right, Ashton? The live
that's when the show starts. The pre-show will be before that, but yeah, that's going to be at 7.
Right. All right, so we'll see you guys at 7 tomorrow for live reactions. Thank you to everybody that joined us. You're all great. And, we will see you then. So I'm going to hand it over to Ashton and take us home.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we do hope that you all enjoyed these preview and predictions. Even if you didn't necessarily agree with everything we said, that's still understandable. I know that a lot of you really love AEW, and we are not in any way trying to tell you that you are wrong or worse of a person or worse of a wrestling fan for loving AEW. More power to you. Enjoy what brings you joy. I don't have any problem with that. Neither does John. It's just not necessarily the best thing for us. But we still like to cover their pay-per-views just with the kind of intention of keeping our fingers on the pulse. Because, we don't like to be completely out of touch when it comes to bigger wrestling promotions like AEW. So that being said, we hope that you all enjoyed. We hope that you were at least entertained by our discussions. And if you were, please remember to like this video. You can also subscribe to the channel if you're new. Click the bell icon to join the notification squad. Then head on over to our Twitch. Follow us there. Click the bell icon there as well to get notifications when we go live there. As far as YouTube goes, I actually forgot to mention, when this video is completely fully processed, remember to leave a comment and let us know your predictions so that we can know what everyone in the audience is expecting to happen on this show. I'm very, very curious to know what everyone else thinks is going to happen. That being said, if you would like to support us, you've got a few options that you can do. If you want to go back over to Twitch, you can subscribe over there if you can afford it. You can also buy our merch on Teespring. You can donate to our Patreon. $1 a month will get you 2 extra questions every month for Q&A. $3 a month, though, gets you into the exclusive Twitwell Patron Discord channel. Server, I should say, not channel, server. And that's, we do fantasy wrestling drafts and all that fun stuff. It's a really good time over in the Discord server. So be sure to get in on that, especially because if you do that today or tomorrow, you'll be invited into the Discord server literally on Sunday, like that quickly. So be sure to get in on that. And all that being said, we hope that you also are able to share this channel and this video with all your wrestling fan friends and let them in on the best kept secret in the YouTube and Twitch wrestling communities. That's right, we are TwitWow, and we are the workhorses of the Y and TWCs, and we hope that you'll all be able to join us tomorrow evening for Revolution. And then on Wednesday is the only other planned commentary that we've had for the next week, our live reactions to NXT. So we hope that you're all able to join us. And of course, we're hoping that you're all able to remember to stay tuned.